How we doing? Welcome to This Is My Story. As per the last election we had with the Foundation of Hearts board, we're just doing a similar series between me and Corbett, where we're going to sit down with each of the candidates just for a short chat and talk about the elections, their pitch. Obviously, it's a really important time for Hearts fans, get their voice heard, who we realistically want on our board for the foundation. So pleased to be joined firstly by Paul Butler. How are we, Paul? You all right?
I'm not too bad, Sam. I'm not too bad. Thanks for inviting me on and allowing me to have a chat with you.
No, absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure. Obviously, takes a lot of putting yourself out there in the first instance to even go for this, and a lot of Hearts fans will be happy in telling you their thoughts to the club and all that, but not many people step up and do it and put themselves out there like that. So it's praise to yourself as well, mate. But obviously, just kick us off. Even if you just want to start with a intro to yourself, Paul, for people that don't know you, talk about your journey with Hearts.
So thank you. So I've been a Hearts fan all my life. My first ever game that I went to was in 1984. My uncle took me along to Hearts versus Arsenal, and a friendly. I think it was a testimonial. I think it was for Roddy McDonald, and he took me along one Sunday afternoon. We won 3-2. Charlie Nicholas was playing for Arsenal that day. Memories are I'd say vague, but the things I remember is me, even at a very young age, abusing Charlie Nicholas. I remember, the smell of the distillery, and it is the distillery, and my pal John Cole would say, made sure I would say that, or he'd be after me. He works there. The smell of the distillery, the klaxon of someone going in and the stadium, and then just seeing the shed for the first time and things like that. So, yeah, that was my first time ever at Tynecastle, and a funny story after that, that pre-season after then, my dad's pal was a Hibs fan, and he said to my dad, "I'll take Paul to Hibs, a Hibs game." So he took me to Hibs versus Chelsea, and Hibs beat Chelsea 5-0. And we were leaving, and he said to me, he says, "Do you want to go to the game? Do you want to come back again?" I went, "No, I want to go to Hearts." So it was done. It was done there, and then my dad was no one for going to football. It was my uncle, so I've got him to thank for the joy that I've had, but also the pain that we've all suffered as a Hearts fan. Been a season ticket holder since the early 90s. Initially in the Wheatfield stand. I had a 1 year where I didn't renew my season ticket because I'd bought a house, and then the following year I got another season ticket, and then it was over in the old main stand. Been there ever since. Been a foundation pledger since the very beginning. I was in the Gorgie suite when this radical idea about saving the club and owning the club came about. I remember the chat. I remember the skepticism of, can this really happen? But these guys pitched it there. Your Brian Cormacks, your Gary Hallidays, Ian McLeods, they were all there. Donald Fords. So yeah, signed up for it, done it. So yeah, that's my sort of journey on between the club and the foundation. Hearts, yeah, huge part of my life. I've met amazing friends through there where we've supported each other through not just football thick and thin, but life thick and thin. I've done a fair bit, me and my mates, for Big Hearts. We do an annual 10k run, which we started up in memory of Mary Zalukas. Twice now that we've donated the money to Big Hearts. So Pauline Fraser and Charlotte, they've been very supportive of us doing that. We've also raised money for MND, obviously it being Big Zal. We've also volunteered at Christmas for Big Hearts. Originally it was serving up food and just entertaining the people who came along for Christmas dinners, through to actually delivering presents. When we were doing that and then around after COVID and whatnot. And just for me, it's, I play a huge part with my friends in terms of organising match tickets and travel and stuff like that. while we're not a supporters club, there's a fair few of us, and I'm the chief organiser, and getting the tickets all sorted and travel. But we'll not talk about that.
It's a job nobody wants as well, a friend group. So I'm sure it's well appreciated, and you get
Oh,
a wee pint out of there.
listen, it's massively appreciated. It's just a skill I
Yeah,
have in terms of
yeah.
organising and doing that. So yeah, but I love it, and I'd rather my mates were there than no there, to be quite honest.
Exactly. I suppose it's, if you didn't do it, nobody would be there. So
Exactly, aye.
Nah, well, obviously we kind of touched on it. You've been there since the start as well, and obviously listed some sort of legends of the foundation in terms of setting it up as well, and people that should be put in the memory of Hearts and the recent history and going beyond that into the future as well. But obviously, what is the sort of foundation of Hearts mean to you, and how you feeling about the sort of election process? Essentially, Paul, I probably should just say, even if you give me sort of a wee bit of pitch about why you feel you'll be right and how that works.
Yes. So my background, I've worked in financial services all my life, since I left school. So I've worked in back office departments, customer services departments, through to into change management. So I've been, been a manager, I've been an ops manager, through into being what my last role there was Scrum Master. Just for I left my last department after getting a package, after a good time. So I left and to seek on to look at new opportunities. But my last role was in change management, and really for me, I can see that I've seen things through the lens of an operations, but also through the lens of a customer and what they look for, especially in the last job where we were building apps and whatnot for customers. And it's looking at, from an operation, you can see it from one perspective, but then when you see it from a customer's perspective, so it's been the ability to see it from both sides and create something that works for both. Part of my job there was, my last job was about, okay, what's the purpose? What we're here for? Right, what's the plan? Build out the plan, make those plans visible. Then when you've got your plan, break down that work into what is it you need to do to make that, to achieve whatever your goal is. Manage the plans, manage performance to make sure that you're on target to achieve. Remove blockers. So if people are saying, I can't do this, it's stuck, my job was there to help remove those blockers. And then the final part to all of that is reflect on your performance and actually, how can we get better? One of the key things for me in the foundation is everyone is a volunteer. So time is precious. It's not the job that's going to put food on the table. It's not going to pay the bills. So whatever it is that's being done, your time has to be used wisely. So I think by creating and having plans and whatnot, and being able to work through them logically and achieve those goals in a way that is efficient is huge, and I think beneficial to everyone, not just the foundation, but to pledgers and everyone else that comes on the back of that. So for me, that's a skill set that I think is required within the foundation, and I think you need a wide range of people with different skill sets to be either on the board or certainly helping within the foundation. So for me, that's where I see me, that's what I would bring to the table from an expertise perspective. But in terms of the foundation itself, I think we are very much at a crossroads now. The foundation was set up because the club was in crisis, but we're going to go bust. And as I said at that meeting, when they spoke about why the foundation was here, it was save the club and then own the club. Well, a few years back, we achieved that.
Yep.
We saved the club, thanks to those that pledged, and also to the likes of Ann Budge and whatnot, who put their money where their mouth is at the time. We achieved that, but then we've also reached a point now where we became the majority shareholder, which is what we wanted. And since that point, I think that the purpose has become lost for the Foundation of Hearts in terms of why do we put our money into the Foundation of Hearts? What is it for? And I don't think there is a very clear and strong purpose that the foundation can attach themselves and say, this is why you want to be a pledger, this is why you want to be an owner. You know, it's just, I could give you my reason.
Yep.
But my reason can be different to your reason and different to someone else and someone else. So there has to be something that hooks people and says, I want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
So for me, there has to be a real clear purpose on that. And then from there, it's, well, what's the goals? What do we want to achieve? Last year, you know, Jerry had said, you know, we want to get 15,000 pledgers. We want to have the pledge monetary amount be 2 million, right? Great. Yeah, that's a good goal. The part that's been missing from all of that was, what was the plan?
Yeah. How do we get there?
Yeah. And share that. So how do we get there? So, you know, it's all very good saying, you know, we're going to do this, but then what does that plan look like? Create the plan, get it out there, make it visible, and then actually start looking at from that when you've got your goals. Now, for me, I see our goals just now should be looking at is increasing the pledge, but getting a much bigger spread over all the demographics. Right now, it's stuck at around 8,000 for quite a while now, which is great, steady, but it's aging. And if we're aging, you know what's going to happen, we're going to drop off. So we need to start looking at, well, how can we get kids in? How can we hook them in to say, you know, you want to be part of Foundation of Hearts. This should be part of your DNA. As long as getting a season ticket or buying a strip, it should be, I want to be part of the Foundation of Hearts. You know, they all should tie up and go hand in hand.
So we're done actually, Paul, on that. I was speaking to a boy for work today. I was obviously saying I was doing these sort of chat where you're selling it and with somebody after, and I was just saying, like, he's 21-year-old or 22-year-old and he doesn't pledge a button, and I'm like, well, I'm 10 years on. I just wouldn't have even considered not putting anything in. And it is that, how do you grow that? How do you get these sort of boys and girls in at that age?
Absolutely. Now, I was at the start of this year or the end of last year, there was a call to anyone who wanted to be part of a workshop, and it was Lee Strutt that was running it, and it was all to do with the family pledge that she's looking to launch. And there was a whole massive demographic of people there. You had people with their kids of all ages. You had adults. The old Gorgie Ultras were there. Craig Galloway was there, and a few of the Ultras were there as well, talking about, right, okay, and what was happening is there's a third-party group who came in, wanted to understand, why do you pledge? Why do you not pledge? What appeals to you? Spoke about what rewards do you want? This, that, and the next thing, and it was really just asking us what we wanted. So, you know what. That was great to be involved in that, and I think when that gets launched, hopefully that gap that you've just mentioned there, Tam, from, you know, certainly I think from memory it was as low as 4 or 5 year old right up to 25-year-old, which is that demographic you're hitting on there of, you know, 21 and I don't pledge, and well, why is that?
You know, totally.
You know, why is it? What is it that's not engaging for people? So for me, that if you want to increase the pledge, you have to look at where are we not targeting right now? Where are we not getting the message across, or where is it not hooking people in? Which comes on to the next part, which is about the communication. We're not communicating right. 2 years ago at the AGM, I mentioned that. I stood up and I mentioned about the comms. The comms was poor. There was, well, Twitter at the time, nothing was really happening there. Nothing on Facebook. Don't think there was even anything on Instagram at the time. All you were getting was an email at some point periodically that was War and Peace about whatever's going on, but it wasn't very engaging. And while it maybe suited some people to read it in that format, for other people, it's like it's just words, and it didn't really mean anything. And I mentioned that, and also spoke about the fact that from a director's perspective, visibility. You know, you've got all the podcasts. I mean, how many podcasts have we got? 3, 4 podcasts.
Thinks about that now. I used to be a bit more.
Perth to Paisley. I think there's maybe one more. How many people from the board go on these podcasts just infrequently, for not necessarily with a reason to say, oh, it's going to be Foundation Day or something like that, but actually just to go on and say, hiya,
Here's me update.
Get to know me, that type of stuff. So there is so much that can be done. I'll put my hands up. I'm not a social media expert or a comms or marketing person expert. But that's where, again, the next part to that about the future for me is going out. And if your skill set's not on that board, then go out and ask people who have got that skill set, would you like to come and help us? Totally. Get them on board, get them on that journey as well, and they can talk about it. That doesn't happen, and it really does need to happen. Where we're going out, if you don't have it, get the help from somewhere else, because there's lots of people who would happily offer their time and their services to help the Foundation of Hearts and the club.
Absolutely. As you said, it's all volunteers at the end of the day, and there's plenty more that could be tapped into within those 9,000 pledgers or the however many season ticket holders. You're absolutely right. And to be honest, as you say, you're not an expert, but you're looking at you're using your experience and saying that's from the customer's sort of aspect of things. You're basically a customer at the end of the day if you're a pledger for the Foundation of Hearts. So 100%, I agree.
No, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, the communication that we do has to be done with a purpose, and that purpose comes back to your goal. If I'm communicating, why am I communicating? Well, it has to tie in with one of the goals that you're going after. It can't just be a retweet, something that Hearts have put out. It can't just be when we win, well, let's do a man of the match. You know what I mean? We either do it, we don't, but whatever we do has to be done with a purpose to achieving your goals and to inform and to be interested and inform pledgers and non-pledgers about, whether it could be an educational piece about the Foundation of Hearts. Well, that's fine. That it comes with a purpose. There's a meaning behind it, and that's really what we have to focus on. But that all comes from having the purpose and the strategy and the goals to then what are you to cascade with meaning, to get that comes out with meaning. And then as I say, then the next part is, right, what do we need? Do we need volunteers? Right, let's go out and get them. Let's go out there and tap into different people, because they might have much better ideas than what they never, as the saying goes, good ideas seldom ever come from the board. They come from the customer or the people or the pledgers in this case, So let's go out, let's tap out there, and we'll get different eyes on looking at it from a different perspective. That for me is what makes it and creates the Foundation of Hearts to be something better than the standpoint it's at just now. The foundations were laid. It's now time to take it on.
I agree. To be honest, I agree when you say we've discussed it on the podcast as well, where it is kind of that sort of crossroads at this time, and there's only so much you can go about saving the club. Where now you want to be like, actually, the Foundation could be a level up and push us a level on at the same time, and looking at that. So I agree completely. Yeah.
No, absolutely. So that's how I see the future. That's for me. If I was voted on, that's something I'd be pushing for. Is to how clarify what the purpose is, what are the goals, get them out there, make it visible. What's the plan? Make that visible. Do we need skill sets? Do we need people with skills to come in, go out there and get them?
Absolutely.
And then get them on board, and then regularly give updates on what's happening. Don't just sit there and say, oh, we're looking at this, and then you didn't hear anything for a year. Regular updates about what's going on, being transparent and keeping it going and showing what's happening. That for me would be a really, really good start for the Foundation, from my perspective, if I was able to get on.
Absolutely. No, it sounds like a level up to me as well, because you're right. I'm one of these people that gets an email. I see it come in and I'll read that later. And I've probably got about 1,000 unread emails at the time in my phone at the moment or whatever.
Oh, you're not one of them, are you?
I'm useless, mate. I'm useless. And then it gets a while after and I'll just do read all. And then I'll be, but I agree with you. But I'm one of these people that if there was a video or even a podcast or something, I probably would listen and actually hear it rather than see it, read it type thing. So I agree with something that puts people out there a wee bit different. I think that's the way you kind of harness this and gets more eyes on it as well, certainly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely, Tam. So yeah, and I think the thing for me with all of this, and actually this is something that's been raised a few times, or I've certainly heard and seen, and I know we've spoke about like the comms and stuff like that, and pledges, but I know there's a part you mentioned about like in terms of we come out talk about issues and stuff like that have gone on. I think I've covered the comms one pretty much to death. And interestingly, every other person who's went forward for the election has pretty much spoke about the same thing. Comms has to improve. Comms has to improve. It really does have to improve. It has to be consistent, and it has to be with purpose. Pledges as well. I think for me, I think the pledges don't get asked enough about what they want or how they want to see the shape of the foundation looking. As I say, I was on a workshop that Louise had done with a third party group, which was fantastic. And I think there probably has to be more of that where fans are listened to rather than being the perception that I have of it is the fans are getting told what they want.
Yeah, 100%.
Rather than how do you see it looking? On all various different things. So I think for the pledges, I think the pledges have to have more of a voice within the foundation about how they see the future and how it should be shaped. As I say, I don't think it's really for me to sit and say it should look like this, or it should organically evolve and grow. So we'll see how that goes. The visibility of the directors, I mentioned that as well. Last thing really for me on I think things that has to improve, and again this comes back to perception, is the relationship with the club.
Yeah.
And I think the perception is that the club aren't that bothered about the foundation of Hearts, regardless of the fact it's been there for 10 years and popped in £18 million nearly and pledge money and help with lots of things. You don't have to look far to see that the club didn't care, or the foundation aren't a voice that's been heard within the club, etc., etc. Well, both parties have to work together to dispel that perception. So for me, I think that's an issue that has to be resolved, and regardless of who comes in after the AGM and who's successful, that is a major thing, along with the purpose, that really needs to be looked at, and how can that be dispelled? Because I'd like to think the club are not only grateful but actually are looking at support and have a strong relationship with the foundation. But when the perception is very different, there has to be a stronger working together to dispel that.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting, to see how that pans out as well, because that's something. And when times are good, yeah, people probably don't ask the question. But as soon as we go three games without a win, or knocked out of a cup early doors against that alone team, you know what's coming next, and the first thing they go for is that the relationship between the foundation and the club, and part of that might be through education, but also part of that comes through transparency and actually showing that you are working together to improve on all fronts.
Yeah, 100%, mate. There's something about the line. I mean, our chief executive saying it the other week there, and it's not, we're fan owned, not fan run and stuff. I feel that's a bit of a kick in the teeth to some supporters. I get the concept and I get it, but at the same time, I agree with you. I think there has to be a better working relationship and a bit of voice heard in there as well.
Well, there was obviously the thing about the privileged position, which I think was unfortunate. I'd like to think that Andrew didn't mean it in that way, and it was just how it came out. However, it doesn't help things.
Exactly.
Let's be honest, it doesn't help things. But the whole thing about being fan owned, not fan run, that's a line that continually comes out, and I think again there probably has to be a different way of looking at that now.
I agree. Yep.
You know, we know that the fans don't run it, but again, this probably comes back to communication, what is communicated, and actually the transparency on what is being discussed. You know, obviously you can't discuss everything, but actually, well, what are we doing, and how does that look? And you know, how can we demonstrate that you know, while we're not fan run, actually our voices are being heard,
Totally.
and we're working for each other to the benefit of Heart of Midlothian Football Club, which is at the end of the day what it's all about. It's about
Yeah.
supporting the club, giving them a standing start on most of our rivals, with the exception obviously of two.
Yeah.
That maybe, you know, we can actually better ourselves and win a trophy. That would be amazing to be fan owned and win a trophy, but we have to work together on that.
I agree completely. It's one of those things that's as you say, there can't be many like owners. We go on about the owning of the club, become an owner of the club. There can't be many owners that don't find out very much, or the communication, and it all goes exactly what you said. Communicate, the transparency, everything in there. So I agree with you there, Paul, completely, mate.
Yeah, no. So yeah, we'll see where it goes. Obviously, the polls are open till the 1st of December. So, you know, if people have still to vote, then you know, listen to what everyone has got to say, take it from there, and decide. If anyone has any questions for me, drop me a message on Twitter or on Facebook. That would be great. If not, if they want to put it in via yourselves and you can tag me in or fire it on, I'll make sure I answer them.
Absolutely. And obviously, we'll put in Paul's Twitter handle, and we'll probably not put your Facebook in, but I'm sure you can find him with your name anyway. And if anyone has any questions, let us know. Check your emails for the foundation's email. And we've just spoke about how important it is for the future, so get your votes in. But thanks very much for coming on, Paul. Really appreciate it, mate. And cheers for taking the time out with me running a bit late and all.
That's all right, Tam. No, I appreciate that. Thanks for the time as well.
Spot on, mate. Thank you.